Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and gee, can you tell how excited that Petey is? I am over the moon. 2025 is turning out to start off with a bang. An explosion of canker sores and lesions in my mouth. I also have a sore throat, so I'm going to be enjoying this cough drop as we get through this hour and 45 minutes of me looking into the camera and talking with my mouth just like covered in pustules. So, why am I excited? Well, the other day we dropped Bassist Christ, the all 4-string. How low can you go? Petey Two Finger attempts to hit the low G. This is an album of all bass music, no guitar. And that is called Bassist Christ. We released that, dropped that on this channel. And a couple people have already given me some feedback on it. I would like nothing more for you than for you to take a listen and let me know what you think. And in the meantime, I'm going to be dropping another, it's going to be two, see how that works, for 2025. And this is something going back just over 10 years, something I've wanted to do for a long time. And there is, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to tell the story that brought me through the creation of this to the point of uploading it. And I will upload the album and then I will upload this video after that. So if you listen to the album or whatever order you choose, but there always is an addendum video that will go with the album with me talking more about the significance and the process. In this case, this material was recorded 12 to 10 years ago, back when I was working, doing professional guitar pedal demonstration videos for some bigger name companies. You will be surprised. If you are not aware, you will be pleasantly surprised, and you will have heard of it. If you're a guitar effects guy and you know about pedals, you'll be like, wow, I didn't know Petey made demos for that company. And not only will you know, but you can check them all out, because my process would be that they would ship me the unit. I would briefly plug it in and play to it till it inspired something, and then I would put together a full piece of music using the device. And then I would typically find some... The video was always kind of more of an afterthought, but very entertaining, especially kind of as I went along. It seemed like I started getting a little better at it, and also like the use of sound effects. If you take a public domain, like an old black and white monster movie, and then you write a piece of music and play that over it, the film is now devoid of any sound effects, and that can be detrimental. It works a lot better if you redo the sound effects yourself for the film. Nowadays, you could use AI to separate the background music and the sound effects from the original recording, the original soundtrack, and then just Bob's your uncle. But this was We didn't have that technology back then. So, as a kid, my thing coming into music was the Beatles, and I understood about John and Paul both went through this concrete music experimentation, working with tape loops. I had a fine arts class where they talked about that, and so I was aware of it. Um, and that aspect of sound effects almost being another element to the music, like with Pink Floyd, they really excelled with that. Any band where they were brave enough to do that type of thing was always a huge plus and turn on for me, especially with the Floyd. They were like masters of that. And when you look at what Roger was doing, it was very much like what the American Indians did, their philosophy about hunting, where if you kill an animal, you use the entire thing. You don't waste any of it. And that's what Waters did with anything they created. They recycled it, they reused it. And that to me, it wasn't like, oh, I've heard this before. It was like, this is conceptual continuity. This is something, there's a foundation here. Like, this is on another level. Like, there's really been a lot of thought put into this. You know, me as a kid, dipping my toes into this music and starting to figure out, like, there's a lot more going on here than just up at the surface. And that was the attraction. So that was something that I always had that going on the back burner in any kind of musical project that I did. And in my editing as well, you know. So when I got to a certain age, my father had died, and he was really weird about certain things. He had a fear of electricity. It seemed like he thought that our house was going to burn down from some miswiring or some electrical based mishaps. So my older brother purchased a soldering iron kit and gifted that to me after, like, right after my father died. I got that, and that kicked off. I was like, whoa, he got me this soldering iron kit. It was a big gun soldering iron, Sears Craftsman, like a really expensive thing. And that was like, getting that gift was like, okay, now I've been given this, and now I need to, you know, slay that dragon. I need to go and learn electronics now. That's what I need to do. What I found was it was expensive, and there was no internet, so it was difficult to get the information. I somehow or another, in reading magazines at the mall, I would go to the bookstore and read, like, Cream magazine, Kerrang, whatever, like, music magazine was out back then. I'm trying to remember what they had. And in the advertisements in the back, I wrote this down. It was polyphony. and it was a newsletter, you had to send them a self-addressed stamped envelope, and they would put you on this mailing list. And it was Craig Anderton, and it was eventually that polyphony turned into, like when I signed up, it was a quarterly thing, I believe, and then it quickly turned into a business where they were selling electronic project kits. That was Paya. That was this catalog that you would get that was also advertised in the back there. And those kits were for guitar effects and little amplifiers and rudimentary synthesizers. So that turned into a magazine called Electronic Musician. And Craig Anderton runs, I think, the gear page now still. He's like one of the, one of the top guys, as they say. So, yeah, I pre-ordered Craig's book when I was a kid. I built a Gemini amp. I built the ring modulator. I couldn't get the ring mod to work. It was a bipolar power supply. I have no idea what I did wrong. But I ended up, I mailed it to them. And they got it working for me. And I mounted it in a rack chassis with a bipolar supply, and I still have that. Now, there's a huge gap here where I still was playing around with electronics, but I really got serious and applied myself in like around 2007. I had hurt my back and I wasn't working. So diving into this, and at that time it was like really, it seemed like there was a boom, like boutique pedals were starting to become a big business. So everybody and their brother was making pedal companies, and I didn't make a pedal company. I ended up interjecting myself into that community and attempt to fit in, and I did not feel really welcomed so much. And also what bothered me was the guys over there really spoke in theory, and there was no like friendly camaraderie or like it was just all like theory. There was no like talking about how your gig went or what you're recording, what you're working on. And the other thing was the guys who really knew the answers, as far as the guys who understood this stuff, were kind of tight-lipped. And it seemed like maybe there was a little bit of even like favoritism about certain people would ask for help and they would be ignored. So I had like applied myself to physically go on YouTube and look, and also asking around, like, who here has a YouTube channel? And it was me and Pink Jimmy Photon. Nobody else really. There was another guy who passed away from Crohn's disease. But I developed a scheme. And this was, I wrote a 40-question interview. And I emailed it to all of these top people in the field And I suggested to them they could film themselves answering these questions. And this would, in essence, serve to break the ice for them. They would go on camera and see that, you don't lose your soul from appearing on camera. It's perfectly wonderful thing to do. And I thought that this way, once I sent these questionnaires out, and half a dozen of these guys who really knew what they were doing would they would participate. And then they would go, you know what, I'm not going to send these files to petey that's what I suggested. Either send the files to me or start your own YouTube channel and just upload it there. And the hope was, people would start their own YouTube channel. And of course, I was interested in learning about these people. They're fascinating people. The questions were like, what was the first time that music clicked for you? What was your first concert? Or do you play an instrument, and can you tell me about your first band? Are you in a band now? These types of questions. What was the last album that blew your mind? What was the first album that blew your mind? They were all like really good questions. It wasn't like, what's your favorite oscillator? Everybody's going to pick sine wave anyway. So everybody turned me down. Pink Jimmy Photon did it. This guy named, well, you know what? I'm not going to say his name. There was another guy who did it, who has a company that I'll just say the last time that I was raving about him, that he was brilliant, because he is. He was the best guy in the whole community. He was slaying dragons, and I said he was my favorite builder, and that he was at the top of the heap. And let's just say that I heard back from him, and it wasn't. I felt like I had done something out of line by heaping praise on this guy. So we're not going to talk about that guy. Everybody turned me down. There was this guy who used to build noisy circuits into stuff that he bought from the resale store. And he did it. Of course, there's mine is, it's like a 90-minute thing of me running my mouth, but and Pink Jimmy Photon insisted that I hold his hand, so I had to hook up a like a Skype thing with really bad low quality bit rate. Like it would be like every 45 seconds another frame would come through. So 3 months goes by, and Devi Ever emails me back and says, I just uploaded your questionnaire, your interview, 40 questions. So I couldn't believe it. Debbie Ever was Effector 13, this well-known trans person who had a pedal business and a lot of like really cool self-oscillating fuzzes. Low parts count fuzz is what she was doing. That was her specialty. So I got all hyped up about it, and then of course everyone wanted to do the interview at that point. But I watched what she uploaded, and in that she said, I need to find more people to do pedal demos for me. So I thought, So I asked her, and she sent me a U.S. fuzz, like a red, white, and blue, like an American flag, a U.S. fuzz. And that's my first demo. I sent the file out. It was about a week had gone by, and I worked really hard on it. I mean, my process was that it was a really weird sounding but excellent sounding fuzz. It was different, and it inspired me, so I recorded that piece of music, and I used it on the drums, I used it on the bass, I used it on every track pretty much. I used this fuzz in different spots. And for the video, I had found this horrific puppet, this hand puppet with blonde curly hair. It looked kind of like a stoner. Maybe it was supposed to be a girl, but it kind of looked male. I found this horrible puppet, like wet, like over by the side of the dumpster. And I brought it in, and it had dried out. It had been here for like a year. And when I recorded this song, I just went and got that puppet, and I would ask my wife to film me, and I would have, like, I would get in the dumpster, and I would have the puppet come out of the dumpster, and whatever. I had him, you know, like, he gets caught. He's in the fridge chugging Parmesan cheese or whatever he was chugging. So we did all this stuff with the puppet, watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre and jumping at the part where Leatherface. We had some good ones. I had him playing we have an arcade game here in our unit, and I had him playing the game and swearing, and then some kind of thing where he came at the cat, and the cat got scared. Gusty got scared of him. And then I had him sleeping. I had him with me. I'm in the bed with my arm around this puppet at the end, and I edited all that together, and I sent it to Debbie Ever, and she loved it. She said that the music was Gish era Smashing Pumpkins, which I was like, yeah. Gish era. I bought Siamese Dream when it came out. Anyway, Debbie had a thing for Corgan, but her partner at the time told me, employee / partner told me she was watching that video over and over and over, and she would like burst out laughing every time at the same things, that she like was obsessed with it. And Debbie Ever herself, like, she told me, but I you know, it's like, okay, she loved the video, but I didn't know, like, she really did. And she ended up saying some really nice things to me, and the deal was I was going to be her guy. From here out, I was going to do pedal demos for every one of the circuits that she ever did, and in the past and into the future. And I was just like, oh, I can let out a breath, like this is going to open some doors for me. Well, what happened next? The whole thing came crumbling down. She had taken, allegedly, Debbie Ever had taken $40,000 in on a Kickstarter, allegedly, to allegedly make this thing called the console, which is like an Atari video game. It's a console. And you plug in, not video games, the cartridges are guitar effects. So the bulk of the expense that you would spend on a guitar pedal is the chassis, the knobs, the potentiometers, controls, the switching system. It's not the circuit that really is the thing that makes it unique. So her idea is brilliant. It's a brilliant idea, and she never followed through with it, and I don't think anyone ever has. Is there a console effector? I don't know. But she had done this Kickstarter. It was something that had been talked about happening for a long time, and it was like it was going to happen with Debbie Ever. She took the money, and what had ended up happening, I heard rumors, and I shouldn't say this, but there was rumors, and again, this is hearsay, allegedly, I don't know, but someone said that she had gender reassignment surgery, that she'd spent that money. I don't know. But I do know that she never followed through on the console Kickstarter, and she ended up selling the pedal company to another pedal company called Dwarfcraft Devices in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. There's a guy named Ain, A-E-N, and his wife. They ran a I Love Fuzz forum that was like offset guitars, fuzz boxes, and like alternative kind of feel to it. Hipster kind of feel, excuse me, but that's what it seemed like to me. So Dwarfcraft made her sign a contract that she would never make pedals. She was done when she sold them the business. She sold them all her intellectual property, and she had no more option to continue building pedals. So there goes. I had done one demo, and overnight it blossomed into this rainbow of possibilities for me. And then I started thinking like, something's going on here. She wasn't emailing me back. And her employee must have felt bad and sent me another pedal to do another demo. And that was something called an OK fuzz. Now, rather than being like spiteful and take it out on the pedal or the demo, or like not do the demo and just keep the pedal, I wanted to put myself in her shoes and do the right thing and be classy about it, right? I mean, I don't know the situation. So what I did, I recorded a 9-song EP, and I used a black and white public domain horror movie starring Vincent Price. It's called The Last Man on Earth, and I changed that to The Last Fuzz on Earth. And that is a piece of work I'm out of my demos. There's a few of them that I'm really proud of, but The Last Fuzz on Earth it's really something. And again, what is the name of this thing? Unbridled halitosis? Unmitigated Audacity. Petey Two Fingers Unmitigated Audacity. This is probably going to be the second cut. So I gave Dwarfcraft Devices. I mean, that I don't think they ever did anything. Like they purchased all of that stuff, and I don't ever remember ever seeing any more Debbie Ever pedals being sold. It was very strange. I do know that that company is no longer in existence. I know that I was reaching out, and my emails were being ignored from Ann. And I know that I eventually went to the forum where his wife was a moderator and got a hold of her. And she supposedly got the message to Ann, or forced him to respond to me. He did respond and say, thank you for your interest, but we do our own video in-house here. And the same day that I got that email from them, he dropped a 45-minute jam video, and the footage was of a cage of jellyfish, and he had a color changey filter on it. So this is the beginning of this road that I was on, where I was sending out letters to people and giving them links to my work, and then they would shoot me down. They would refuse my services. But the following day, a new demo video would come out on their channel, and it would have a bunch of elements of my work. Because when they got my email, I would include links to videos of my work, and they would watch it. And they would think, oh, I've got to be able to figure out how to get that psychedelic thing that he's doing. So that's one of the elements that I did with the video work I did. People, I think Debbie Ever said to me, it has become apparent to me that you took a lot of LSD in high school. Is what she said to me. And that is part of the style. But eventually I remember seeing, like I was going on, a site where they have all the pedal companies, and emailing, like cold calling everybody. And I was at the end of my rope. I was done. And because I had done that, and again, this is like 2010, 2012 in there. And it wasn't like it is now back then. It wasn't like pro guys with a whole wall of gear behind them. The guitar pedal demos were just ordinary guys. Most of them were people that couldn't play at all. It would be like a phone quality video of the floor with a sock that would come in and hit the pedal, And that was a good one. When they were always playing Zeppelin riffs. So my thing with a fully fleshed out commercial, basically, with a song, and then some kind of spirited video that had been edited smartly with sound effects. It was a pedigree, it was a step way above what other people were doing. Even the guys that were the pro guys that had the gear behind them. But more often than not, I was ripped off. And again, I'm moving forward here, but I do remember, I think it was 2013, Reverb.com had these awards that they did, like at the end of the year. They had a New Year's Eve party, and then they awarded people things. And Vic Audio was their pedal company of the year, and I thought, well, send him an email, see if he bites. And he did. Mike Vickery liked my style. He liked what I did. He picked me to do his demos along with a guy named Jack Fawcett. Now, Jack Fawcett is a talented guitar player. He was a winner of the Guitar Center Blues Off. So he was a guy who sat on his amp, his really expensive amp and his really expensive guitars, and man, he could play. He could play circles around me. And so Mike Vickery at Vic Audio, he had his bases covered because he had that, like, he had the one guy, and then I was his, for the stoners and the, the people who can't play. So I worked for him for a considerable amount of time till I had done videos for all of his products, basically. And then he gave me a gift that is this custom Ram's Head Big Muff that has a graphic. It's a laser etch, and it's an image from Pink Floyd. In the wall in Goodbye Blue Sky, there is a gas mask mutant in a sewer, and that's what's on this pedal. It's a modded Ram's Head, so there's a toggle for the mid. You can set it scoop, flat, or boost, and it's a great pedal, and that mod is chef's kiss. For recording, it's really, like if you're into that type of thing, if you like a big muff, this is a really, really good one. And it's a, it's it's not that big like the, because I've had a few big muffs over the years. That was used to be my thing. That used to be what I played through. So I was in my heyday. I was getting these pedals, and I remember taking my first break to go and urinate at 10:30 at night, and I hadn't even eaten. And this was like constantly. I was working. I remember when I did the last Fuzz on Earth for Debbie. That was 5 weeks. And at the 4-week point, I was done. And I was watching it, and there was a scene where this car, he's doing something. He burns a body of a zombie mutant, and then he gets in his car and drives off. And I thought, you know what? That scene would work a lot better if I just inserted a little sound effect of the car's exhaust. Like I could find a truck exhaust drive pulling out in my collection of sound effects, because I got a massive sound effect library. So I did just that. I put that sound effect in there, and then I was like, I'm watching it, and there's something else, it needs a sound effect, And a week later, of like, and when I mean a week, I mean getting up, booting this thing up, not eating or anything, just going right to the computer, booting up, and then maybe at 10:30 taking a break to to have something to eat. Working at least 18-hour days, and there was many all-nighters and some 3-day in a row with no sleep. So I really applied myself. Not only was it a lot of work to come up with the music and play all of the parts, multi-track, many, many, many guitar tracks on all these pieces, and then having to do find a video that's public domain that I can cut up into pieces and then reassemble that, but then processing it with the psychedelic effects takes a lot of time. Then you're left with doing, whatever sound effects and then intro and outro to explain what the pedal is supposed to be. So it was a mind-numbing amount of work doing this stuff. It was... And really the only person who does anything remotely like what I do is a guy named Pete Thorne. And Pete is really talented. I am not talented. Pete Thorne is really talented. So he does a phenomenal job, and he does the same thing that I did, but he films himself playing these demos. I did not do that. For many reasons. Now, when the work dried up, like me and Jack both got those custom pedals. Or maybe, I don't know if Jack got one. He may have been paying Jack. I think more than likely he was. But, I never got a cent from Debbie Ever or Vic. I got to keep the pedals. And coming into it, it's an attractive idea, but when you're spending 5 weeks and you're doing 18-hour days, or you're not sleeping for 3 days, and then you're ending up with like, okay, this is on a whole nother level. And the fans weren't really responding to it. The fans, they want to see a guy sitting on an amp playing "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You," So I sent a lot of this stuff out, and I saw a lot of people turn me down, and a lot of people immediately put their version of what I had done out online. It happened time after time after time after time that I was pilfered from, stolen from. And like, my thing is I have really low self-esteem because I went through an abusive childhood. So I guess it's nice when people steal from you. Then you can at least, if people, they're not going to come back and give you a compliment and tell you, you did a really good job. This video was spectacular. The consolation prize might be somebody else stealing your work. Now, specifically, there was a guy, Frankenstomp, and his first video, Mike Rickery posted it. So I don't know if he was friends with, I don't know if this was arranged, but it was black and white. He wore a Frankenstein mask, and it was a horror movie, which that's what I was basically doing for Mike. So it was a lot of elements borrowed from me, and but you can't copyright a style. Sure, I influenced the guy. He had a buddy named Igor. They did just a handful, like maybe 3 pedal videos. One of them was a big muff. The amount of mileage they got out of their jokes, their demeaning to women jokes. I am not a fan of Frankenstein. And people ate it up like the volcanic, like people were self-immolating. Like it, I never saw anything like it. So that didn't frustrate me as much as it made me sad. Makes me, your society makes me sad. You ever see that Johnny Thunders when he's got the saxophone up there? It's horrible. Don't see that. Anyway, you guys, that's the story of my pedal demo days. There was other people that asked me to do stuff. There's other times where I interjected myself. I would get a handful of germanium transistors and throw a demo together. I did this GDMC, this guy that had done these Sonic Czar, these really good charge pump germanium fuzz face pedals. They were excellent pedals. He was a good guy. He gave me a couple of those pedals and I gave him that video. And the tones in that video speak for themselves. If you can get that guitar tone any other way than using a germanium fuzz face, let me know. I did a silicon fuzz kit that has some really similar tones to it though. So I don't know. You know, ultimately, my experience led me to the Rangemaster circuit, playing with that and realizing in this instance, the germanium was the extra chef's kiss when comparing it to the silicon version. The silicon version was great, but the Rangemaster, the germanium version was mind-blowingly great. So that's the thing. Once you expose yourself to something on that level, you're not very easily going to be able to exist without it. So I've become a slave to the germanium myself now at this point. So I did really have quite a bit of fun making those demos. I worked myself literally to death making them. That was the only thing. Was it would have been nice to, you know, get paid for my work. That's the only thing. Is I built this guy's business up from not much to probably something considerable, and I did all of that work for free. I'm not sure, again, I never discussed it with Jack Fawcett. He was kind of hinting to me that Mike was frustrated with me because I was having these intros that were longer than, according to Mike, if you spend more than 5 seconds getting to the point, you might lose people. And my thing is, if that's the case, I'm going to go 50 seconds so I lose all those fucking morons because I don't want them around. I'm just looking through this list here. You know, Gusty, there's a black cat that's in these. He died. He was like 5 years old, and we only had him for a short time, and he was such a good friend to me. I never bonded with another human being. Like, I never had anybody look at me the way that he did. Like, he really accepted me for who I was, and he really liked being around me. And he was just the best. And It absolutely destroyed me and my wife when we lost them too soon. So I do have these moments of him that exist in these demos, and that's really nice for me to be able to see him. But I still miss him, and I'll never forget him. He was the best friend that I ever had in my life. I know I made jokes about him being the killer in the Tweed Tone demo, and he wasn't like that at all. He wasn't a cat that hunted, or I would like to think he was scared of insects and stuff like that. I would like to think that he would let a mouse go if he caught it, but who knows? The V-Vibe demo, not necessarily proud of that one. It was really hard to get that to multi-tracking with a modulation device was not a wise thing to do. The Blackbird Overdrive, there's a lot of personal stuff that was kind of risky. That was the first one that I had my daughter sing backup vocals on it, and I love that demo. I used a lot of GIFs in it, and I think it's a real strong demo. I think the song is what elevates that one, and that the video just fits with it. The Silverback, there is an Adrian Belew song off his Mr. Music Head album called Hot Zoo. That was my concert experience the first time seeing him live. He opened up with that song, and that song, the Vic Audio Silverback demo song, is inspired by that Hot Zoo, Adrian Belew. Very much so. But it's unique enough on its own that it's they can be cousins, you know. And I really enjoy that because of the wildlife in it. The Midnight Sun uses this Viking movie that's a real kind of macho thing. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun doing the Swedish chanting in there. And then we have the Bad Juju. I had been told, Jack Fawcett reached out to me under the guise of like friendly chit-chatting, but the point was that Vic had told him to tell me that I was pussyfooting around with these long intros. So I did these unbelievable, there's concession stand advertisements, there's the dancing hot dogs, there's a real estate commercial, there's a lot going on. There's movie previews, and then the pedal demo. And that pedal demo is so disturbing. The footage in that is like, it seems like it's really real voodoo rituals. It's the most satanic thing. Like, I had nightmares. I shouldn't have used that footage. The Overdriver, one of my favorite songs. There's a segment at the end of that is, it's what this band, the Psycho Dots, it's that distilled. And I'm so proud that I was able to emulate that a little bit. And I think the Vic Audio Overdriver demo might be one of my best. It harkens back to those 70s car chase movies. And it's a damn fine demo song. And the footage, the editing on it is just phenomenal. There's this part where the camera is cutting and there's a police siren that's chopped up. It works really well, really well. And that's all, again, the sound effects were done after the fact. That's all petey. You can't use the sound effects from the movie footage because the movie footage has the dialogue and the music. It'll have background. So You can't use any of the sounds from the original movie. You have to either ignore the sound and not have any, or create your own sound effects and the atmosphere for it. They call it foley, and it's an art. I got pretty good at it, but I'm no Foley artist. The Tree of Life pedal, that's my best demo song. No, without a question, without a doubt. And I had nothing to do with that video. That was a BBC remix. It said, remix this computer generated footage. And it was the Tree of Life. So, and it came out at the same time. So I was like, hey, Mike, I asked them if they minded and they didn't. So we're going to use it. And we got away with it. It's just that, you know, I tell people, oh, I made this demo, and then it's got this incredible, like it really is incredible, the animation. It's spectacularly cool looking, 3D computerized, kind of like Tron with the glowing light, like the vector graphics of animals, of the Tree of Life. And I'm like, oh yeah, I made this demo video. And people are like, you didn't make that. It's like, well, I did the music. I put the Vic Audio logos in there to cover up where it says BBC. So if you see those logos, you'll know why they're there. That was basically the end for me working for Vic. He gave me a Dear John letter. But he didn't have any more pedals. I know he came out with one more after that, and he sent that pedal to Jack. So obviously, and I tried to buddy up with Vic, and he didn't want to be my friend. He gave me that Pink Floyd pedal, and he said he didn't want me doing a demo for it, which I guess, he's not selling that same one with the Pink Floyd graphic on it, but the demo, you're not looking at the fucking pedal, it's the circuit. So it didn't make any sense for me to not make a demo for it, and to be honest with you, it really did hurt my feelings. But it was my fault because I didn't listen to what he told Jack to tell me, which, why should I listen to Jack Fawcett? He was younger than me. He was never really polite or it was always kind of like, I'm making my appearance because I'm hoping that whatever 30 people are over here watching your demo, they're going to come and subscribe at my channel. It was that type of an appearance. That's just the way that I took it. So again, as the guitar player community, the online experience has unfurled itself to me, it's not really friendly. It's more competitive. And that's one of the reasons that you'll see me on my high horse in the comment section and trying to stand up for us as musicians having each other's back. There's two words that I like to use. It's be nice. Be nice. Excuse me, I bit my tongue. Be nice. And when I say that, you should know what that means. I should know what it means. And hey, you know what? I have to remind myself to be nice all the time because it's just not our nature. Now, there's one more thing that I want to talk about before I cut you guys loose. If you're still here, thank you. I really do appreciate your time. I don't know if you know, like I know, about the Unison MIDI chord pack commercials, but the guy's name is it Sepp? Is that his name? Sepp? What a weird name. Sepp. Hi, I'm Sepp. Hi, I'm Sepp from Unison MIDI chord pack. And typically the commercials will be real fast, and it's like a hip hop mentality. And I get bombarded. Like I'm only like a click and a half away from a fucking seeing Sepp and his Unison MIDI chord pack crew. Seeing the Garden Weasel or the semicolon wizard, whatever his little programs are, where they come out and they all of a sudden the wizard dances his jig, and then boom, there's a song. You know, you got a new Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift #1 hit song from this software that you buy for $19.95, and it comes with a free bowl of soup, apparently. I am not a fan of those Unison MIDI chord pack commercials. They are a thorn in my side, and just the fact that I'm talking about this with this microphone connected to the computer means another 12 years I'm going to be bombarded with that snot. So it is what it is, but I got to swing back, and I hope that you got the joke. That's what that was. I had fun 14 to 10 years ago when I did this stuff. It was a learning experience for me. I seem to remember the stuff being a lot better than it was, like when I went back. I'm looking at it now. I'm like, it was all right. I mean, I've made a lot of music, and I think I've gotten better since 2014. So that speaks towards the fact that there has been growth, and that's something to get excited about and feel blessed about, to celebrate, to be happy. I'm lucky. I'm married to such a wonderful woman. My partner, Ganti, she's the best, enabling me and taking care of me with this horrible back injury to sit here and basically play around like I do. So I'm really blessed and lucky. I can't complain. But at the same time, I look back at this body of work and I see because I don't think anyone else was doing that kind of work for free. Anyway, you guys, check out the album Unmitigated Audacity. Unmitigated Audacity. Strictly commercial, whatever you want to call it. I burned the first copy of it today, and I watched it, and there was a mistake with the fade in of the television. There's a scene with the TV, and there's supposed to be some photographs of my work that appear on the TV, and that didn't line up quite right. And it's like, I don't know, 3-hour render process or something. So now I'm going to have to go through it and make sure all of the points in between are smooth. I really basically need to watch the whole thing and then re-render it, which is just like, I've never been, like, usually I'm excited about rendering the album. This one, at this point, now that I've talked about it and I've got like a bad taste in my mouth about these people, You know, like Jack, he no, he never came back around to check in with me. Never. And neither did Mike. And I know they were talking about me behind my back. And Mike just as soon could have came to me, which is what you do man to man, right? What are you doing telling Jack to talk to me? The only reason I did what I did was because he didn't come to me himself. So anyway, the joke is on me because I was the one who did the work for free. So if there's any takeaway here, it's don't let people manipulate you into their personal gain off the sweat on your back. Just because you've got this massive insecurity complex and you can't see any worth in who you are. Because that's not true. That certainly isn't true. All right, you guys. This was a long one. If you're still here, thank you. If you bailed out 20 minutes ago, thank you. I don't blame you. You know what I always like to say. Hug your pets and peace.